red flags, but like the police are being manipulated at a spiritual level. They're being manipulated by somebody who has been a professional manipulator since infancy, and they can set you up way ahead of time to curate a situation that's perfectly places them as the innocent victim and makes you look insane. The police shouldn't be held responsible for getting it wrong because of this. And like, I'm sure at some point, I know at some point, the police realized that there were things that didn't quite add up. But they had the police wrapped around their finger for so long and to such a degree. Like anything I did, they would just call the police and say, oh, he's doing this because he's sending a message to me. And the police didn't even question me. Like, they just immediately arrested me. And that just it was open season for the narcissist to do whatever they wanted and have the police back it up and create a situation where they had endless narcissistic supply and their delusional reality just came to life, and I was the main character. You know, repeated arrests, going back to jail. I don't know, I got arrested I don't know how many times. I was arrested Christmas Eve while I was having Christmas dinner, like for something, there was a notification that I liked a picture of a dinosaur on somebody who is apparently related to them on their Facebook. The narcissist turned that into me trying to communicate with them, and I get arrested Christmas Eve while I'm sitting down for Christmas dinner. And like, when this kind of thing is happening to you and you see what's happening and you don't have any voice whatsoever and your life is being like destroyed, like, you know, I was like still kind of hopeful at that point that I might be able to like go back to work, because I was on administrative leave from this whole thing. And then Christmas Eve I'm arrested. It's like, and then it's just like the complex post-traumatic stress that came from this of such a degree that like when this was finally over and I finally got away, like I couldn't even talk to people. I still, like, I have a personal support worker that helps me go grocery shopping because I can't deal with people that I don't know, because I don't trust people at all anymore. And this type of protocol could have prevented that from happening. I realized I was going to have to leave the city and move away. And like, I had to leave a 9-year-old son behind who also loved the narcissist and couldn't understand why this was happening. And he was just as messed up as I was for a long time. But I realized that I was going to have to leave it all behind and just go and try to start somewhere new. And the narcissist did everything they could to prevent that. Like, I was trying to get into a treatment facility. By this time I was homeless and like living in a tent, and I had nothing to live. I needed to go somewhere. I needed to get better because I had relapsed really bad, and like I just wanted to get better and get away from the narcissist. So I applied to all these treatment centers all around Ontario, and every single time one agreed to take me, they would give me a start date, and the narcissist would find out the start date from my probation officer and then call in another false probation violation over something that they've had sitting in their back pocket that could maybe look like I was guilty of this, and it would just be taken as factual evidence, and I would immediately be arrested and go back to jail. And you can't go to treatment if you have pending court charges where you might end up going to jail. So like, this happened repeatedly, and like I'm like literally trying to escape this person. I'm dying in a relapse. I've lost everything that I ever had. And the narcissist is playing this game like they're sadistically enjoying this, and they're pulling the strings of my life. They're pulling the strings of the legal system. Everybody believes them. Nobody believes me. They were trying to stop me from getting to treatment because they needed to keep control over me, and they couldn't let me get away and get better, because then their story about me being an abusive addict who's unwilling to do anything about his problem, that story falls apart if I get better. So of course they're not going to let me get better, and they've got to work extra hard to prevent it. And like, there were many times where I almost gave up. Like, I set out many times to do it, and like, and I always prayed in these moments, and I always felt God saying to just hang on, because like, this is going to be, there's something much bigger at play here, and there's a purpose for all this. And I believe that because of my experience, I was able to see where the system fails people who are being abused by somebody with a personality disorder. When I left the city and moved away for treatment, the narcissist like called all around and finally tracked down my new probation officer and introduced themselves like they were some kind of like celebrity or something. Like, probation officer said that's never happened in 25 years. That has never happened. And she immediately like said, this is weird. And then the narcissist tries to recruit them to violate my probation and pull me out of treatment and get me thrown back in jail. And it's like, so like, the narcissist is they're so grandiose, and they've been getting away with this like so easily that it's like they felt invincible. Like, they didn't think anyone was going to see it, and that they were just going to be able to just get me arrested, and I'd be right back under their thumb. But my probation officer is like, if this person's a victim who is in fear of this guy, like to the degree that she claims, why is she like calling around and trying to get this guy arrested? Like, and if she loves him, like she claims, wouldn't she want to see this guy get better? It's like everything that the narcissist was doing was blatantly not something that somebody who's traumatized or a victim would do at all. So now they're seeing it, and they know, and they're like, holy shit, this guy's been telling the truth the whole time, but there's not a damn thing that they can do about it. And they realize at that point, okay, now things are happening that would raise flags to indicate that this person is not credible. And my probation like started dissecting my file and like going through all of these arrests, and they were able to identify every single time that was a blatant lie, and it was actually not, didn't even fall into the category of violating my probation. But it's like everything they said to the police was just taken as fact, and I was just arrested every time. And the story they made up about long-term abuse and what they accused me of doing on this trip, it was like the police were now under this delusion that had happened. So now they had a moral like obligation to try to put me in jail. So they're trying to help the narcissist by accumulating as many probation violations as they possibly can to get me thrown in jail for as long as they possibly can. And they don't realize that the narcissist is using them and manipulating them and to further abuse an already traumatized victim who's just trying to get away. And like, so if you look at that from a legal standpoint, like, there should be major repercussions for somebody who not only uses the legal system to abuse somebody, but false police reports, lying to police, using police, and furthering, psychological and coercive control like this. That person should go to prison for a very long time. And and that's what this protocol should look at, because sometimes you don't see these things until down the road. And this protocol would offer the probation officers an ability to, at least have the case revisited and potentially expunged if they can prove any of this.